Jennifer Zamparelli, 2FM. Good morning. So, lads, do you like to nap? When I worked on breakfast radio, it was one of the questions I was often asked. Personally, I wasn't great at it, but I do know some people who just swear by it and do it all the time. Not your own. But we thought we'd discuss the pros and cons of napping. Is it healthy or should it be avoided for a good night's sleep? How long should we nap for? Well, I'm joined on the line by sleep consultant Erica Hargaden, aka Babog Sleep. Good morning and welcome to the show, Erica.
Thank you very much for having me, Jennifer. Great to be here.
Great to have you. So you're a child sleep consultant, first of all, but you have an interest in the overall benefits of napping and sleep in adults too. Napping isn't really part of our culture compared to countries like Spain, for instance. But why do you think that is, first of all?
It started out in their culture as a means to get away from the heat in the middle of the day. So to take a break, and particularly for farming communities.
Okay.
So they would take a break at the middle of the day, have their largest meal spread out over a few hours, and then have a nap afterwards. And that became known as the siesta, and it really spilled into the wider community then in those countries thereafter.
Can I ask you, what are the pros and the cons of taking a nap?
There's loads of pros. So like reduced fatigue and increased alertness, and your mood is better, and your performance and your brain performance in particular is better, and quicker reaction times. But there is some cons as well.
Okay.
Unfortunately, there can be. Jennifer, it's really down to the individual person. For example, I'm not a person who can take a nap in the middle of the day and not have it affect my night's sleep. But there's loads of people who it is really suitable for in the middle of the day. And they're the people that will benefit from the relaxation and the increased mood and everything. But for others, it might create sleep inertia, which is where you wake up groggy. You know, when you go for a nap in the middle of the day and it maybe goes a bit longer than you maybe had planned, and you wake up feeling like you've been hit by a bus.
Yeah.
That's sleep inertia, that groggy and disorientated, and it can affect you for the rest of the day. And it can then also create nighttime sleep problems as well, where you're not sleeping properly, you're not getting down into your deep sleep phases, and you're maybe not doing the full circle of phases of sleep at night because you've had a nap during the day.
Okay, but we do know there are significant benefits that you just reeled off there. So if we want to have a short sleep during the day, when is the best time? And this is the big question, for how long should it be for?
You aren't going to like me for this one. Only about 10 or 20 minutes. Yeah.
That's
so
not even
a power nap.
That
a
is
real cat nap.
That's funny because I read on Monday about Theroux, the broadcaster from the BBC. He often takes a 10-minute nap in the toilet.
Oh, right. Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting choice of place.
I know.
But I guess you won't be disturbed.
He won't be disturbed. And he said the light is sensory in the BBC or wherever he is, and it goes off, so he gets a nice little kip, and it does him absolutely fine. So you're saying a 10-minute nap is all we should really be doing?
Yeah, 10 to 20 minutes, and that is because you only enter one of the phases of sleep, and that phase of sleep is one where your brain gets rejuvenated, so you then don't wake up feeling groggy and disorientated. You wake up feeling that refreshed, decreased fatigue that you're seeking from the nap. If you go with the longer nap, you're not going to get that. You're going to feel worse after it. And it's more likely to affect your night.
I'm thinking of how I would do that nap. So I'd probably get into bed and I'd set my alarm for a half an hour later, because it would take me about 10 minutes to fall off to sleep, and then 10 minutes, you know what I mean?
Yes, exactly. And you also would probably benefit from being woken up gently. So looking at investing in maybe there's certain alarm clocks out there that will start to wake you up gently and more naturally than maybe your Fitbit buzzing on your arm or your mobile phone waking you up like a snap beside you. So investing in kind of been taken out of your sleep more gently will help you get the benefit of what you're trying to do with the nap in the middle of the day.
Can I ask ask you, Erica, about shift workers. I'm thinking about my brother who works in aviation and has to sleep during the day and take naps and that kind of stuff. And we've been talking about the feeling of grogginess and disorientation. Is there any quick way to get ourselves up and running again if we feel like that after a longer nap?
What I'd say to you is really there's things not to do. So I wouldn't reach for coffee.
Okay.
Like, don't go for the stimulant like that. I would be more inclined to say people get out into light. So get out into natural light. I know we don't get too much sunshine here. We had our sunshine in April,
gone.
but out into natural light. Don't wear sunglasses because that will block off the natural light, coming into your eyes and entering your body and regulating your body clock. And go for a walk. Get yourself moving. And that's more likely to get you out of that groggy feeling.
Okay.
If you go for the stimulant, like the coffee or the Diet Coke or, any of those things, you're just doing a short-term quick fix on it rather than getting your body regulated, which is what will help you create that flow that you're looking for, particularly for shift workers. They nearly need to take their body from the natural place of regulation and shift it to somewhere else in order to go into that lifestyle.
Could a constant need for napping ever be a sign of an underlying health issue?
Look, potentially. I would say to anybody, if you all of a sudden are dealing with, increased fatigue, feeling like you could fall asleep at the drop of a hat, and you're working on your nighttime sleep hygiene and you're minding yourself, then you need to speak to your GP.
Okay.
So there's all sorts of sleep disorders like narcolepsy and sleep apnea and restless leg syndrome, which I actually deal with myself. That could be potential issues, but it also could be lots and lots of other things. It could be, maybe vitamin D levels are too low. It could be lots and lots of things. In our minds, we always go to the worst place, but it could be something very, very simple, quick chat with your GP, little bit of advice and away you go. And you'd be able to resolve maybe what's happening. I would also look at maybe if you're napping during the day and you're not sleeping at night, that you're in a cycle, and it might be better to shift towards going to bed early, which would be my own go-to if I'm feeling a bit more fatigued, than continuing the cycle of napping, because you're not going to get the sleep balance that you need.
Do you think we undervalue sleep in the always on, always busy society we live in?
I think we have gone through decades of undervaluing it, Jennifer, for sure. But I think there has been, and I use this term all the time, an awakening in relation to sleep in the last number of years. We are starting to understand that it is really the first pillar of health, that if sleep isn't where we would like it to be within our own context, then there's likely to be a knock-on effect with everything else. You're more likely to eat poorly. You're more likely to have, medical conditions. You're just more likely to have issues around your life if your sleep isn't anchored. So I think we are becoming an awful lot more aware. There's so much more information about it, like conversations like this, that are making people aware that they have to place a priority on their sleep in their lives.
And companies like Google and NASA allow workers to pencil nap time into their daily schedule. What are your thoughts on this? Is this progressive?
Gorgeous sleep pods that block out the light and make it dark to support melatonin production. Lovely. That's all about productivity.
Yeah.
Those companies are looking to try and make their workforce as productive as possible, and they're giving them the opportunity to rejuvenate themselves during the day. And that's brilliant, as long as it is your individual choice and it's not something that you're being told to do, because it may not necessarily fit with your own body clock. Like me, napping is not something I can do because it'd affect my night, and I will always prioritize my night sleep. And I would say to people, prioritize your night, because that's where your body is going to get its full quota of, rejuvenation from sleep, your brain and your body. Napping's never going to give that.
Okay, so if somebody out there is feeling tired in the afternoons, should they listen to their body and take a nap, or plough on and try to get to bed early? Is it really what suits the individual?
Yeah, I really feel it is what suits the individual. I would always say no napping for adults, certainly after 3 o'clock,
Okay.
because you're more likely then to take from your night. And I would put in a bit of trial and error. Try something consistently, maybe for a week or 10 days. And if by the end of a week or 10 days, you should have figured out at that stage, does this suit me or not? Do I feel better or not? And if you don't, then maybe err on the side of early to bed. Like, some people would think that 10 o'clock is early to bed. That for me is I'm in bed by 10 o'clock.
Yeah.
Other people, early to bed is 8. Other people, it's 12. So you've got to figure out what your early to bed is, set it, and get yourself into bed at that time to try and give your body the opportunity to maybe get rid of some sleep debt that has crept in, that's causing the fatigue.
Is it really 8 hours we need a night for everyone?
Listen, between 7 and 8 hours, ideal for the average adult. There's lots of people who still function amazingly on 6, but really below 6 in clinical trials, you would see decreased alertness and decreased reaction times if you're regularly having below 6 hours.
Okay.
So you're less likely to be functioning at your optimum capacity as an adult if you're having less than the 7 and 6 hours sleep. So between 7 and 8, I know myself as well, if I have less than the 7, I can feel it. I might be fine the first day, but the second or the third day of sleep like that is when it'll start to creep in on me. So it's about finding what's right for you as well.
And seeing what works. Brilliant. Erica Hargadin, thank you so much for taking our call. And I just want to tell listeners, if you have a child with sleep issues, you can check out www.babogue.com, or you can find Erica on Instagram at @babogue_sleep. Erica, thanks so much. I'll chat to you soon.
Jennifer, thank you so much. Take care.
Bye.